I was more unsure of what I wanted to say on this year than in any year of my rabbinate. I kept trying to think about what I wanted to hear. In many ways, I want to hear the same messages we often deliver from this bima, about gratitude and forgiveness, resilience, compassion, and hope, and listening to multiple truths with an open heart. What I've landed on for today is not what I want to hear, but what I think we need to hear. It is not easy being a Jew today, or for our fellow travelers being part of or supporting the Jewish community. Even as Judaism is the most respected religion in America, in many polls, we are confronting rising anti-Semitism that is more overt from the right and more complex from the left, and both are dangerous. We are sorting through our feelings about Israel, its current government, in day 719 of this war. Conor Cruz O'Brien, an Irish writer and politician, recognized that anti-Semitism is a light sleeper. In times of polarization, when societies have a need to blame, anti-Semitism easily reemerges. Since October 7th, critiques against Jews from both the far right and the far left have merged on demonizing Israel. We certainly, as I stated earlier, don't agree on how we should respond. Nevertheless, at work or school, in comment sections on social media, or in our conversations at work, school, or with family and friends, if we retreat or if we react from our emotions in the face of anti-Israel statements, whether anti-Zionist or anti-Semitic or perhaps just critiques, I fear that we may be missing the mark and not helping us nor our people. Saying all this right now is making my anxiety rise, and I apologize if it's doing the same for you. But I have to ask, what is my responsibility at this time? What is all of ours? Certainly, there is a limit to the impact we can have to lower anti-Semitism, yet we each have a role. And how are we responding? Are we retreating from conversations to preserve our mental health, or because we don't know our history? Are we reacting or overreacting in conversations from our learning, or from our biases, or from our fears? When we engage and say, as a Jew, as many celebrities and public figures have, are we representing our people authentically? It is beyond tragic that the Holocaust education that we have seen in this country has not quelled anti-Semitism. The Holocaust is the most documented event in human history. Over the past decades, many museums have been built and memorials created, and yet nearly 60% of millennials and those in Gen Z do not know that 6 million Jews were murdered. Nearly a quarter believe the Holocaust happened, but think that the number of Jews who died has been greatly exaggerated, is a myth, or did not happen, or are unsure. It seems that talking about Jews who are no longer alive as a strategy to reduce hate crimes is not working. As Dara Horn points out in her book, people love dead Jews. And this is not to minimize the empathy that many, many have developed by learning about the Holocaust, and to be grateful to the many educators who do incredible work in this field. But there are other ways to talk about our story, to talk about our people not only from the ashes. For instance, in his book, nearly 2 decades old, The Gifts of the Jews, Thomas Cahill asserts that Western civilization would not be what it is today were it not for our Jewish ancestors. Christian, atheist, Jew, believer, each of us can look at Avram and see that had he not responded to what God had told him, Lech Lecha, go forth, we would not be the people we are today. The Jewish people shaped the very way all people in the Western world think and live, our gift to the world. In our conversations, but truly mostly for ourselves and our own well-being, we need to react less and respond more from a bigger picture that is not apologetic nor defensive. To do so, we need to learn our history, not only Israel's, including our stories, and starting from the Torah. 4 years ago, Sarah Hurwitz spoke at Mount Zion in an online conversation about her book, Here All Along, Finding Meaning, Spirituality, and a Deeper Connection to Life in Judaism after finally choosing to look there. Over 200 people showed up online for the talk, and a couple hundred watched it after. It drew more people than we expected. I think that there was something that resonated with her title, Finding a Deeper Connection in Life in Judaism after finally choosing to look there. There was a hunger to learn more about why our people have survived millennia while other peoples, ancient peoples, have died off. What did our tradition hold that was worth saving in the hands of our small group of followers? There was a feeling that acculturating into American society while watering down our understanding and experience of Judaism, the project of previous generations for over a century, was no longer quite working. This is in no way blaming previous generations who responded in the ways needed for their time. It also doesn't answer for ourselves what is a good way of being both an American and a Jew. What is the balance to be authentically both? Hurwitz was Michelle Obama's speechwriter and has become, in a way, Judaism's speechwriter. She makes the case for Judaism in a clear and compelling way. She's currently studying to be a rabbi through the Hartman Institute in Jerusalem and has written a new book that just came out, As a Jew, Reclaiming Our Story from Those Who Blame, Shame, and Try to Erase Us. She writes, how is it possible that I, someone who has spent my career dealing in words, had not known anything about the words that form the text line that tells the Jewish story? Why, for the first 36 years of my life, had I been the child who did not know how to ask? My search for answers to these questions took me back through thousands of years of Jewish history, then through 200 years of Jews' reactions to that history, and then to the present day when history finally caught up on me, and I finally caught up to history. And so, a parable from our text line. It is a parable Rabbi Akiva gave us 2 millennia ago when asked whether he was afraid of teaching Torah, an act that the Romans considered a capital crime. One day, the fish decided to leave the ocean. So strong was their fear of being caught by the fisherman's net. "Where do you think you're going?" asked a fox who happened to see them from the top of a hill. Then the fishes told the fox of their fear of being caught by the fisherman's net. "I will help you," said the fox. "Come with me. I will protect you." "Where is your head?" countered the fish. "If we are in danger in our natural surroundings, how much greater will the danger be when we are out of our elements?" Like the fish in the parable, we Jews are better off in the waters of Torah, even when it is dangerous, such as in Roman times. Akiva's message is that assimilation does not protect against the fox, and the loss required of losing the joy and deep meaning of our tradition is not worth the risk. I first learned this parable with my friend Jonah in rabbinical school. After learning it in our class in Jerusalem, we traveled to Rabbi Akiva's grave in Tiberias. Surrounding his memorial niche was this entire parable in Hebrew. I'll never forget my joy of being able to translate the Hebrew with Jonah, my lifelong chavruta, my study partner. What was surprising, though, was that out of all of Akiva's teachings, this was what was placed on his grave. Akiva first learned Torah at age 40 after looking at a rock and a stream and seeing how the water carved into the stone. If water, which is soft, can break stone over time, then he deduced that he too could learn Torah. Life lesson number 1. You can start learning Torah, real Torah, at any age. His first teacher was Rabbi Nachum, who was famous for saying, Gam zu l'tovah, everything is for the good. Whether it was good or bad, he would say, Gam zu l'tovah, this too is for the best. He recognized that he couldn't change what happened, so he opened his heart to feel what good could emerge from every situation, no matter how hard. Life lesson number 2. In a time of great upheaval, focus on what is possible, what can be for the good. Akiva jumped headfirst into politics by supporting Bar Kokhba in the Second Rebellion against Rome. Life lesson number 3. Our teachings mean nothing if not applied to the challenges of the day, such as in Akiva's case, supporting a rebellion against the authoritarian regime. Akiva also became known for his universal statements, such as the one Rabbi Adler often quotes from Pirkei Avot. Beloved is humanity, for we were created in the image of God, and it is a sign of even greater love that it has been made known to us that we were created in the image. Life lesson number 4. Our particular story as Jews only matters if we can apply insights into our values universally. So it is noteworthy that on Akiva's grave is not a universal message, but a particular one of the fish staying in the waters of Torah despite the danger. It is the story of holding on to one's Jewish identity and deepening learning even when it is dangerous. Whoever chose to put the parable of the fox and fishes on Akiva's grave was making a statement. In today's language, we cannot control anti-Semitism, but we can decide how much we want to stay in our element, in our stories and community, our traditions and Torah. Sarah Hurwitz realized that she spent so many years of her life dismissing that element because she had no context to appreciate it. For me, she said in a recent podcast with Dan Sinor, growing up Judaism was 3 boring holidays and a fun one, Hanukkah. It was 2 texts, the prayer book I held in my hand once a year, twice a year, and the thing on the scrolls in the front of the synagogue, a handful of universal values, don't lie, cheat, steal, love the poor, and the Holocaust. The rest of my identity was kind of a series of apologies and caveats. You know, I'm Jewish, but not too Jewish. No, I'm just a cultural Jew, which is beautiful, right? If you connect to Judaism through Jewish culture, history, language, arts, music, that's wonderful, but I didn't know any of that. Or I said, by the way, I'm still Sarah, I'm just an ethnic Jew, which is a nonsensical statement because Jews are of just about every ethnicity and every race. Or I said, social justice is my Judaism. Again, there are Jews who are deeply versed in Jewish social justice and spend their lives enacting that, and I didn't really know anything about Jewish social justice. It's not easy to confront the truth that we don't know our story or our Torah well enough, that our universal message of tikkun olam, of repairing the world that so many love to talk about, only has gravitas when anchored in our particular teachings that take time to learn. That we cannot understand Judaism in a few hours a week religious school, as amazing as we're going to make it, and we do, and think that it is sufficient. It takes doing Judaism and learning Judaism at home. And parents, I'm speaking directly to you. You're exhausted. You have so many responsibilities. But as the founder of Reconstructionist Judaism, Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan wrote, if you want to educate your kids in Judaism, but don't practice at home and don't learn yourself, it is like trying to heat your home in the winter with the windows open. It is also why study after study indicate that immersive experiences, Jewish camp, Jewish day school, study in Israel, deep learning make the most difference in understanding what our tradition has to offer in our lives. For all of us, for ourselves, if we ask what is my responsibility, it is to wade into that water. We are living in a time of renaissance of Jewish living and learning. 2 millennia ago, a diaspora community in Babylon wrote the Talmud. We have long wondered whether our Jewish community in America could produce such a text. And it feels like an American Talmud is being written today. We have extraordinary centers of learning with Hadar in New York, Hartman, North America, Savara in Chicago, seminaries from Boston to LA, Hineni and Living Musar here in the Twin Cities, and at Mount Zion with our many classes, including the annual Intro to Judaism class taught by Rabbi Adler and our weekly Torah study classes. It is a priority for our congregation to deepen our Jewish learning and living. We made it part of our strategic plan, led by congregant Sarah Weinman and Rabbi Renetsky. And this year, you will see a new initiative about chavruta, the Aramaic word for paired learning. The root of the word is chaver, friend. It is not about doing this on your own. We invite you to pick somebody that you know, or we will pair you with someone to learn Torah together. Torah really is a sea of learning, and it will always feel like you're just dipping your toe in. But as Akiva modeled at age 40, learning his Aleph and Bet Hebrew letters, you have to start somewhere. And many at Mount Zion are deep in the waters of learning, and we will welcome you. And in a time of great upheaval, we know the fox is real. And learning Torah is a way of saying, Gam zu l'tovah. We focus on what is good and what can be for the good. It will not necessarily change the dangers of anti-Semitism we face, but will help us know the richness of our tradition and history and respond in our conversations with more knowledge about the gifts Jews and Judaism have given the world. And it can also be fun and bring a lot of joy. I know that many of us will not try this new strategic initiative of Chavruta, paired learning, for all kinds of good reasons. I pray that you will still take from this message the feeling that learning more of our Judaism, of our people's history, of Israel's history in any way, is something that is in your hands to do. By the way, if you go home and talk to someone and say, what did the rabbi say? And he said, I think it's about, you got to study Torah. And it was like, well, that's obvious, a rabbi would say that. Can you try to remember some of the context of that message too? I want to end with a text that you can find in your prayer books now. Open up to page 115 in your Machzor. In our daily prayers, after we say the blessing for the study of Torah, the actual Torah we study comes from the Talmud, page 115. And in a beautiful twist, after a blessing for Torah, it talks not about study, but actions, honoring parents, performing acts of love and kindness, visiting the sick, rejoicing at a wedding, being a peacemaker. Then, in the ultimate twist, you got to hand it to these rabbis. They go back from action to study. None of these actions compare with the study of Torah, because study, when done deeply, authentically, soulfully, leads to all of these actions. Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, study of Torah, is the cornerstone, or in another translation, is equal to them all. Please turn back now to page 112. Keep your finger on 115. At the top of the page is a blessing for the study of Torah. We'll say that blessing and then turn back to 115 as the cantor leads us in chanting Elu Devarim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
אלו דברים שאדם אוכל פירותיהם בעולם הזה, והקרן קיימת לו לעולם הבא, ואלו הן כיבוד אב ואם וגמילות חסדים, והשכמת בית המדרש שחרית וערבית, והכנסת אורחים וביקור חולים, והכנסת כלה לוויית המת ועיון תפילה, ואהבת שלום בין אדם לחברו, ותענוג